All right. What's up, BB? Another weekly prowl for our site at proudsports.com. You can always go visit there, PROWLED sports.com. I'm Steven, and Barrett BB is with us. How are you?
Great, buddy. How are you?
Doing well, man. We had our week off for the Thanksgiving
Yes, we did.
holiday
Yeah.
from the last weekly prowl that we spent time with one another. And I am feeling good, rested. I'm in the seasonal spirit of getting ready for Christmas, and I survived the awful food of Thanksgiving that I never would say I enjoy. So hey, I'm all good. How
You're
about
still
you?
on that, huh? You're still on that. I'm good. I'm good. You're still on the hating of the Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, I really am, and it's funny. We spent Thanksgiving up north with my wife's family, my in-laws, and it is a fastball down the middle for people that like the traditional tried and true Thanksgiving delicacies: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes. They did have green bean casserole that was in there, but
Okay.
no kind of
Mac and
funny
cheese.
business. No, that's what I was going to say. No funny business of any kind of Southernese type, loosely used food items as part of the Thanksgiving meal platform. No mac and cheese, no ham. I'm trying to think, like, there were rolls, but they were a certain roll. I mean, this is like a tried and true Thanksgiving feast. So I survived.
Well,
That's all I can
Thanksgiving
say.
did start up north, so they pretty much got it right.
Was that in Plymouth?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Really testing our
Yes.
our our
Wasn't that
history
the first
lessons here.
Thanksgiving? Our history lesson. Yeah. Wasn't that the first Thanksgiving in Plymouth?
People don't want to have my history knowledge
Okay.
be tested, because truly I that was never my forte. I wouldn't pretend it, but I believe, yes, for you and I's sake, I think we're both onto something there. I was more curious to ask you, because you had shared with me, we kind of needed to reverse. You like the Thanksgiving meal, so you would be, really into that. For me, I said, hey, I could go like off the reservation, try something completely different. And you said that's kind of what your family does. So what did you end up having for Thanksgiving?
Well, I didn't spend Thanksgiving with my family. So I didn't have to worry about not getting traditional Thanksgiving. I went and hung out with my girlfriend's family on Thanksgiving, and they did the whole traditional deal: turkey, mac and cheese, green bean casserole, collard greens, rolls, mashed potatoes, the whole deal. I don't know what my family ate on Thanksgiving, to be honest with you. So, but that's on them. That's their problem. I don't have to worry about that. I
Okay.
got my
Well,
traditional Thanksgiving. And I know that sounds bad. I don't want that to sound bad. Like I didn't want to be with my family. It just didn't work out like that.
that's fine. No, fair enough.
So
Well, there's a lot of those same food items that at a certain restaurant, as part of my childhood, closed this week. The dearly beloved Canes and Walkers, as people will say it. K&W, for those that don't know that acronym. I guess, is that an acronym?
yes, I did not
Okay.
know it was Canes and Walkers either. I've always known it as K and W.
Yeah, Canes and Walkers.
Oh, Canes
Because
and Oh, bro, I just got it. Okay, I'm
okay,
sorry.
yeah, catch
Took me
up
a
with me
second.
here.
I
Canes,
thought you
Cane.
actually meant the last names were Canes and Walkers, but I got you now. Okay.
Now, more delightfully said that name because of their traditional age range that they served at those establishments. But K&W, after 88 years, shut its doors, said, hey, we're good, we're done. For those that follow along with us at proudsports.com, I know that your counterpart, amigo for the Big Foodies, Matt Wells, did jump in there and took the torch, because he also, like me, had a childhood of visits to that restaurant. But I was going to ask you, have you been to K&W? Is that part of your upbringing? You a fan, not a fan? All the different questions you might want to answer there for me.
Even man, just like you, I was born and raised at K&W, man. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been, which I feel like is part of the problem on why they're closing. But every time I went, I loved it. And I'm glad that Matt got to write that blog because that was a tough thing to do. I don't think I could get through that. I definitely would have left some teardrops on the keyboard if I wrote that blog. This was a rough day, man. This was a dark day for the foodie world and the local community, man, because K&W is an institution. 88 years it fed its people cafeteria style. And I don't know about you, but there are things at the K&W that I will dearly miss. I think that there are several menu items that are unique to K&W that I'm not going to be able to get anywhere else, and that bugs me. I
Whoa,
should have
what would
taken
that
the
be?
opportunity to get their mac and cheese was next level. Their chicken fingers were incredible, and their biscuits were amazing. I haven't been in a while. My palate has expanded since the last time I've been, but the chicken fingers, the mac and cheese, and the biscuits are otherworldly in my mind.
I never had the chicken fingers, never had their biscuits, didn't even know they had biscuits, to be 100% honest with you. The mac and cheese, I would argue, though, I think that you can still get that other places. And what I mean by that is it's just a very homemade style mac and cheese. My mom, for instance, give her a little bit of credit here since we're talking of all these different places you could eat. Um, when she makes mac and cheese for Easter, that is the style that she goes with. So, not the craft box, not the other options, Velveeta and other things that are out there. She makes this style that resembles very closely, I don't know another way to describe it, but what you would have gotten at Canes and Walkers.
Because I know that K&W did eggs in their mac and cheese, which is not
Correct.
common.
She
It's
does eggs in
definitely
there.
specific. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. I know I've had it like that outside of K&W, but it's just not the same. It's not the same, man.
Well, what's not the same is a story I was going to share with you, because this is the prototypical K&W experience, in my opinion. Certainly, you have cafeteria on the outside of the building, so you expect that experience, I guess, with when it comes to the food. You would expect that part of the experience, cafeteria food. But one of the other things that I've always gotten when I was in other cafeterias, which ultimately that is just in educational environments. I can't think of another time really that you would have cafeteria style, would be the workers, the gents and ladies that are there and they are doing the heavy lifting, whether that be scooping that mac and cheese for you or cutting that roast beef for you and ham, and they're slinging dishes and doing whatever else that they got to do in the pickup line. So
Bro, you're
there
talking
was
dirty to me right now.
correct. There was a time where my parents decided it's a K&W evening, and we took off for, I'll even tell you where it was because now it's closed and it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, but it was the K&W in Greensboro, North Carolina, off of Holden Road near what's the water park that's right there?
Wet and Wild Emerald Point, is
Yes,
that right?
Emerald Point. That would be
Okay.
it. And we were there having our meal. We enjoyed ourselves. We had our food, and we were getting ready to leave the restaurant. Now, mind you, at this point, I am a very young lad, we'll say. I don't recall exact age. I'm just going to pitch it out there to you, somewhere in the age range between 6 and 8. Younger, I would say relatively naive.
Pivotal years. Yeah.
Yeah, naive, born in a good, wholesome household. So I had both of my parents there. My sister, who is older than me, was probably also there, but just like a nice little family 90s going out to eat experience in K&W. What could go wrong? We are leaving, and my dad, who is someone that likes to poke around and joke around from time to time. I probably share a little bit of that personality trait myself. Saw one of the ladies, the workers, leaving this establishment at the same time as we were. Now, this lady was very much in line with what you would view cafeteria ladies might be. She was older in age. She was dressed out in a hair net. She had stockings on of some kind that I recall. Little old lady that is just doing her job, working at K&W, and I don't know what you do after that. My dad decided to strike a conversation with her, and in the midst of this conversation, she made some type of comment about, oh, what a cute, son that you have, or whatever older ladies might say when exchanging pleasantries with a family that has like a smaller kid. And my dad said, well, sure, yeah, he's great. You should take him with you. This lady grabs me by the shoulders, pulls me out into the breezeway of this restaurant while my dad is back there laughing his head off. And I'm sure my mom was probably mouth agape open, maybe small heart attack over what was happening. And again, this is a different time, a different generation. Things weren't being as worried about when it comes to abductions and other Amber
people
Alerts.
Did not care about kids when we were growing up. Yeah.
So
they did not care about kids.
This was my very memorable 6 to 8 year old range experience of K&W that will forever go down in infamy of my brain that I still live with today. Probably scarred on a very deep level, but that was K&W when it comes to Greensboro, North Carolina for yours truly.
Well, I can't say that I almost got abducted at a K&W, but I do have a memorable moment since we're sharing them. The first time I ever went to K&W and the first time I could ever carry my own tray at K&W was a big moment. And I didn't understand the concept of like, oh, we have to pay for this food. So I ended up getting 2 trays full of food.
Wow.
And carrying one and having one of the employees carry the other one to the table for me. And my father was livid because he was not paying attention to me ordering food. And then I showed up with 2 trays, and we did not go to K&W for a long time after that. I had to grow up a little bit before we went back.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of setting families up when you really want to start thinking about the business model here, because plates are already, like, for instance, I recall the dessert portion of the K&W line where slices were already made of the cake and scoops were already made of the Jell-O into individual dishes and lined out there ready for just quick access and pull. It wasn't like you even had to speak to a worker if you didn't want to in that section. So quite honestly, it was a very savvy business move when you really want to think about it, if kids were involved, because they're gonna see 100%. A chocolate slice of cake and grab it and go.
What color Jell-O did you get? I judge people on this.
No, I don't like Jell-O. I wouldn't touch it. Isn't it made out of whale blubber or something like that?
Yeah, but that's what makes it good, man. Don't besmirch Jell-O. I was a red Jell-O guy personally. I was part of the red gang.
I would always vision in my head when you say Jell-O at K&W, I would think it would just be nasty green. Like, who really wants to eat things like that are made out of green? That's the way I think about it. So that's the K&W life, though. But 88 years, it shut its doors. I figured as a big foodie, you would have had your experiences there. And I'm sad for you. I'm sad for me. I'm sad for the little old lady that probably, I would be surprised if she still were living. But I know throughout the course of her life, she remembered that time. She remembered that young little boy that she tried to abduct out in the breezeway as my dad just laughed and laughed.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. And, this is happening a lot, weirdly enough. Like, restaurants that we grew up going to are closing down, which is kind of bizarre. Like, Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy. We did talk about this. I forgot. Yeah,
we did. First episode of the Weekly Prowl. Folks can go back into our archives and kind of hear our thoughts. But a lot of that still continues to roll out, and where we arrive back to today is part of this nostalgic feeling of wanting those places to succeed. Are people trying to get back into that or not after COVID? We talked a little bit about that, and that's why I was a little surprised at the K&W while also not being surprised. So I feel like K&W, Golden Corral, Quincy's is what I meant to say. Golden Corral, Quincy's. Are you familiar with Quincy's?
I never went to Quincy's. Was there one in around? I live in a different town than you, but was there one near you growing up?
There was in Greensboro, so they did have Quincy's, and they still exist, I think, out like towards Tennessee, maybe even in mountains areas of North Carolina potentially. But Quincy's, Golden Corral, K&W is a little different. There was another one in High Point called J&S Cafeteria that also resembled K&W, but all of those, in my eyes, are on an island when it comes to things that would survive this era of people like us trying to get back into eating at different establishments after COVID, because these are like true cafeteria style where it's like buffet and you're sharing utensils and da-da-da. I think we're just like way over that at this point. When all that stuff happened with COVID, whether you agree with it, don't agree with it, whether it's even something that still lives in our brains today, outside of this, it really, for me, it doesn't. But I'm just saying, I think we're just beyond that, where it's hard for these places to really survive. But like you said, Red Lobsters and and Olive Gardens and Chili's and all these other places are still around. And one of the interesting things about it that I also saw a news article come out this week on that I thought would wrap with this is that people aren't into QR codes in restaurants when it comes to ordering and such. They actually want a physical menu in their hand. So it kind of goes, it's complete polar opposite. While we're talking about a Canes and Walker's establishment that disappeared after 88 years and is all about being old school, you would expect, QR codes. Yeah, let's do that. Let's order off of a screen. Let's not even talk to a waitress. Give me a robot or whatever that looks like. Instead, no, this study says that 90% of people would prefer an actual menu in their hand. Where do you land on that?
I'm part of the majority there. I want an actual menu. I don't like coming in and scanning a QR code. That's too labor intensive for me. Hand me something and because what if my phone's down? You know what I mean? Like, what if I don't have good signal when I get there? I have to deal with that. And I just think that I think it's an easy way to like pass the buck for waiters and waitresses, especially when you go into the ordering like on your phone and paying on your phone and stuff like that. I was like, I really didn't need a waitress at all in that situation. But no, I want a physical menu. Where do you stand on that?
I'm with you. I think I was sitting here thinking as we were discussing this, that in McDonald's now and other, even at drive-thrus, they have the AI portion that'll at least do the introductory greeting. But then inside of McDonald's, they'll have like the actual big kiosks where you can punch up and order right there, as opposed to going and talking with an actual person. And I just was sitting here because when I go to a grocery store setting and they have self-checkout, I actually do utilize that. I prefer that because I feel as if I can check out faster, that I'll do a better job than most register workers in that instance. Now, I've never been a bag boy or a checkouter, and 29 cent pound turkey lady, for those that know me, that's out there, I still support her in her endeavors of working at a Food Lion. So those people, I think, that good on them, but I just felt like I could do that part of the process faster. But in this case, I don't know why it is. I agree with you. I think the QR codes in general, I think it's QR code for me, no matter where it lands. We have one on proudsports.com. Maybe I'll abolish that bad boy for this exact reason. They're stupid. They're annoying. They like, they look like a squiggly little box, and you're supposed to tap and do and this, and I don't get it.
Well, not to deter anybody from using the Proud Sports QR code, but there are people who use QR codes for scams now. I know people who have gone downtown in major cities and tried to park, scanned a QR code, and then it's took their information, which, I mean, that's terrible. But, we've become so dependent on it that you just kind of trust everything. And now when you go into restaurants, if you want to know what you're ordering, you have to scan the QR code. And I trust that these restaurants won't try to scam me, but you never know. Somebody may pull a switcheroo on us.
If a QR code gets you out of tipping, would you prefer that as opposed to ordering with a menu old-fashioned way? Then hey, I'm in it for 15 to 20% here.
Wow, that's a great question. You stumped me. I'm gonna say yes. If I don't have to tip, I would rather use a QR code. I think I would prefer to do that.
Yeah, I would. That's why I asked that question, because I'm gonna say it. Like I feel as if a tip is something that is given because somebody has done an incredibly good service or job. It's above and beyond what they should already be getting paid, which I realize that is not the way the restaurant industry really works. It usually relies on the tips as part of that person's salary or income or whatever that paycheck looks like. And I never really been on board with that, because as a business owner myself, people aren't coming in and paying tips to my employees so that I can get out of half of that expense. I actually pay their full wage. So I don't know how restaurant employers ever pulled that one over on society and said, yeah, you guys cover half of my expenses here for my labor force. And, I'll get out a little bit easier that way. So I know my opinion on that as the tippers and leaving tips and all the different things that kind of roll up into that. So I'd say, yeah, if I could use a QR code, not have to go through that portion, and somehow a drone came out and dropped my food at my place, I'd be good.
What's your typical go-to tipping percentage? On a normal experience, how much do you tip?
Well,
I'm not going to judge you based on whatever you say.
No, seriously, it is just what usually is recommended on the receipt at this point. Or if there's a thing that you can tap because it already has that calculated, that's really ultimately the way that goes. I mean, honestly, restaurants, this is the real abuse here, is that the restaurant dictates a lot of that whole process. And what I mean by that is, if you have a large party and there's more than a certain number of guests, well, guess what? That tip is automatically imposed on there. You don't get a say at all. It's just, it is what it is. Another part, if you're going to do a type of tap and pay, process, if they only give you those options and there's not a tab that says other that allows you to actually key it in, which I have seen before, what option do you have but to click that? And as already stated, if they're paying their employees the very bare minimum, whatever that is in the restaurant business, and expecting that the rest of it comes from the people sitting down in the restaurant, well, I do feel a little bit hamstringed there. I feel like I have to do my part to cover that cost. And so, yeah, that's where the whole problem lies for me, is that we just let the restaurant industry get away with it, as opposed to what should be happening, in my opinion, is that, yes, they have waiters and waitresses do a fantastic job. They have paper menus because those are a lot easier to utilize instead of this QR code type thing. And then what happens is, hey, those people are getting paid by the restaurant because they're employees, and that's the employer and employee agreement that they have. but I got a great service tonight. I got such a great experience, and Dorothy, whoever that is, took care of me in such a way that now I feel like, oh, I got to leave her, some type of extra pleasantry to say, hey, I'm happy with this whole experience. That's what I think.
Was Dorothy the name of the woman who almost abducted you at K&W? I think that may have been her name.
Seems right. Yeah, I would definitely say that's in line. Well, one more thing that is a bit of a transition or a shift, that while K&W old school out, QR codes new school also saying, hey, out. This is taking it back old school, saying, yes, we're maybe moving and shifting in to this scenario. I saw another story as we move from Thanksgiving into Christmas about Christmas trees. And I'm a big Christmas tree guy. I'll tell you, in a younger life, probably around the same time that Dorothy attempted to abduct me, I thought at one point I might like to have my own Christmas tree farm. I like it. I think it's cool. Growing trees, Christmas trees, they're cool. So I love them. What do you think about a Christmas tree? Are you a decorator? Do you have your tree? Do you have a tree up yet?
I currently have 4 trees in my home, but they're not like trees. They're like items in the vague shapes of trees. One's made out of like metal, the other one's like made out of wood. It's not like a typical tree, but there are trees, you know what I mean? And we hang ornaments on them and stuff. Man.
Wait. Was that a secret way of you telling me that you guys really celebrate Festivus in your household?
We've never watched Seinfeld. I've seen 8 episodes of Seinfeld in my life, but possibly we may have just adopted it over time. Man, I don't care. I'm sorry, man. I don't care about like decorating for Christmas. I didn't help at all. The things just showed up, and now I just see it when I walk by it, But
spoken
you clearly love it. I mean,
spoken like a true Scrooge that eats Thanksgiving traditional food is what I would say.
Dude, man, I know it's Scroogey, and I hate to sound like that, but it's just the truth. Like, I don't know. I don't have kids. You have kids, so like Christmas is different for you now. Christmas still means something. I have niece and nephew that I love, but like, I'm not their parent. I'm not the person responsible for bringing them joy and magic on Christmas morning. So it's just different for me now. I'm in a weird transitional phase with Christmas in my life. Maybe one day
I do understand. Yeah, I understand that transition. As you get older, I do get that Christmas and all the things that go with it, it changes, it evolves. What I would say, though, is that the Christmas tree is one of the things, as a lot of decor and decorating and different ins and outs that people do, I would say it's probably one of the things that has stood the test of time. I know what I would tell you is that there is a very large number of people that still purchase Christmas trees. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like for Christmas that is the thing. I mean, when it comes to decorating, if you don't have a tree, then you're doing it wrong. And what's interesting? You talk about Christmas mainstays. I was thinking about this earlier. It's so hard to like create new Christmas music. All of the most popular Christmas songs of all time are like, when was the like from the 80s at the earliest? I mean, like the most famous Christmas songs are from the 50s. And that's just crazy to me how stuff like that has never been able to like transition into newer styles of music. So I think we definitely associate Christmas with a different time period in America, or for those countries who do celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I am a Christmas music guy as well. I would say that it probably depends on where you're receiving those holiday tunes, to be honest, because there are certain outlets, especially within the triad, that I do in fact listen to from time to time, that would lead you to believe there is zero new Christmas songs that come out from year to year, and they play and refresh never, they basically play the same things over and over and over and over. But there are some out there like, hey, for instance, I'll give you one right here. Skillet has a new Christmas song out this year. Skillet.
I got one better for you. I will listen to the Skillet one. Cher released a Christmas song 2 or 3 years ago. It is amazing. It's called like DJ Play That Christmas Song, and it's a jam, dude. Like it's an amazing song. I didn't know Skillet was making Christmas music. That's a departure for them.
I'll tell you, it is. I'll tell you this. I will listen to Cher's song as we decorate the tree that I do have downstairs. Now, when I go for a tree, I'm a real tree guy. Not going to do the fake stuff. Okay. Not going with the rest of the country on that, it seems. But what I can tell you is that there's been a shift because of tariffs. And we've said here on the Weekly Prowl that we're really not going to get super political. That's not my viewpoint on this story. It's more of interest that these tariffs have forced fake tree prices to go up. So much so that people now are reconsidering that decision. They're saying to themselves like, hey, instead of having these fake plasticky things that we can just put a plastic bag over and save it in our basement from year to year, instead, we're going to go back to buying the real deal. And that is a shift that I am all about.
That's for sure. I mean, 90% of the homes that I visit on Christmas, they all have fake trees. And I remember growing up, I think I had like an allergic reaction to a real tree that we had. And then ever since then, growing up, we've gone to fake trees. And now we don't even have trees. They're just kind of things in the shapes of trees. But I like that idea. I like the idea of a real tree, and I like that it's coming back, because that means that local farmers are getting business, or local tree farmers are getting business, and it's kind of keeping that money in the community, which is really cool.
So here's the kicker. There are between 25 and 30 million people that buy Christmas trees each year. And about 7 million of those end up being fake, believe it or not. So that is where the biggest shift is happening in those 7 million people. Now, in 2022, it says that U.S. tree farms cut more than 14.5 million trees that were harvested. So anyways, the number bounced back and forth between half of those people and a little bit more than half of those people that are on the fake bandwagon. But here's the deeper thing for me about all of this. I feel that as a society, ultimately this idea of fake Christmas trees and real Christmas trees says a lot about a person.
Do tell.
I don't think that it's a financial thing, and it could be. I mean, I do believe that real trees, they are not the cheapest thing for you to only have for like a 2 or 3 month period of time. Like, for instance, I'll tell you, my real tree that I purchased was $89. So it's not inexpensive. And that's not the biggest tree they had either. So I prefer to stay away from the financial side of it. But I don't think that ultimately has tons to do with it a lot of times. Now, obviously, for this story's sake, people coming back to real trees because the prices of a fake tree are so high, for those people, it was a financial thing. But again, I really don't think that's the majority. I think the majority moved to the fake tree because they're just weak.
Okay. I need you to expand on that for me. That's a bold statement just to throw out and just stop. Ends full stop. I need you to expand on that for me.
It's just
weak.
Sad.
How?
It's just weak. It's sad. It's just, I mean, let's get some cojones again as a country and just smell the sap in the pine and if you don't have the truck to do it, you sling it up on top and you strap it down. I mean, all the things that come along with getting that tree and shoving it into a house. Have you seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, that's a different topic for a different time. But what I'll say is when their tree catches on fire, okay, and
Yeah.
Clark has to make something happen out of nothing at a moment's notice, he's a man. I mean, that's like where society used to be. He rips the chainsaw, gets it started, cuts the null post off because it's wobbling, takes care of that little problem, goes outside, hacks down this tree, and shoves that bad boy back inside. That is what Christmas is. That's America right there, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. That is the most that's a wild take, but I respect it. I do. I respect the take. That's a wild take, though.
There's something deep down inside of those fake treers that needs to just shift. They just need to come back and be like, you know what? I've had enough, and we're doing the real deal this time.
It's like, you settled for mediocrity. You got the fake tree, and you need to be out here with us in the elements, cutting down trees and shoving them in those red elastic bags and put them on the top of the Subaru.
See, the real funny thing about my obviously, I'm partially joking here a little bit, like, tongue in cheek here, but the funny thing about this,
I don't think you are, man. I think you're dead serious about this.
The funny thing about this wild take is that I do still go to an actual lot to get this real tree. I didn't actually forge into the forest with my saw and cut it down like I'm saying Americans should. So that's partially the real funny thing about this. I'm still just as weak as the rest of every other average Joe buying the fake trees, but ultimately I think I'm just more of a traditionalist, to be honest with you. And I feel like when it comes to the whole experience, the fake tree just seems so lavishly fake. And it probably comes from what I said previous. I don't know if you caught it, but I had some grandparents that actually really did put a plastic trash bag over their tree, slide it into the corner of their basement, and just leave it there, decorated and all, until they're ready to pull it back out again.
I mean, we are a country that appreciates convenience, and what's more convenient than that, I must say, especially if it's a pre-lit tree. Which brings me to a question I wanted to ask. Do you do multicolored lights on the tree, or just white lights?
See, I knew that a real man like you would follow up with such a beautifully timed question. And to be 100% with you, I grew up one way and I believe and live a different way now. Could you, based off of what I just said about my belief of real trees, attempt at a guess as to what that would look like?
I am going to guess that you guys do multicolored lights now.
You believe that that's the way we go now?
Yes, I believe you grew up a white light family, but now you're a. Am I wrong? Is it the other way?
It is. It is the opposite.
Okay.
It is. Grew up as
because I will say, multicolored lights on a tree has always been tacky to me. I think white lights on a tree, and not to say anything about your family, I apologize, but we were the same way. White lights on a tree is just, it's classy, and it rings in the whole vibe of Christmas, I think.
No, you hit it right there. It is the truth. And I would say that I love my mother, who probably chooses the multicolored lights for my family's tree that I grew up with. I would tell her the same thing. I would say, really, I just think it's a little tacky looking. I don't think that either need to be like moving and blinking, is what I would say on the tree, on the actual tree.
Yeah, stagnant lights, 100%.
Correct. Lights. That's the other solid take I would have. Now, outside in bushes or up in trees and other places, that's a different deal. If you want blinking lights and lights that run around and do different stuff, that's all crazy happening, then I'm good with that. But if it's on the actual tree, I'm as vanilla as they come. It's white and it's stagnant, and that's what it is.
The white stagnant lights are calming. The blinking colorful lights are chaotic, and I don't need that type of chaos in my house. I need to come into a place of solitude with some white lights that are just stagnant.
But
So
you did.
I
I,
feel
I
what you're
just
saying.
I have to be really hard here on you for 1 second, baby. You took a little bit of an easy sidestep of the way out here. Do you have a fake tree in the house? I know you said you got wooden trees and you got metal trees and you got all this kind of stuff. But if it's supposed to be the actual tree, is it fake or is it real?
They're not technically trees. So yes, they're fake, but they are not meant to look like real trees. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They're more
I no,
decorative art pieces than trees.
I do, and I go right back to what I said before, and I don't want to educate you, but so much here on this topic, and that is that there is a holiday called Festivus. It's December 23rd, and instead of a tree, they have a pole, and that is the resemblance of what a tree would be in that scenario. So you're getting really close to that holiday if that's what your
Yeah.
family's.
What we have is more poley than tree. So maybe we are celebrating Festivus. You never know.
Happy Festivus,
It,
BB.
it was not intentional. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're celebrating 2 days early this year. It's not it was not intentional, but I'm
When
sure we're celebrating
when
Festivus.
when your dad says it's time for the feats of strength, then you've officially arrived to that holiday. That's what I would say.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%.
So there was one last thing, and this is to the sports realm where I feel much more comfortable myself, but it's in the world of golf, a topic that you and I both share as a pastime we enjoy. And I don't know if you enjoyed this year's Ryder Cup or not. This was previous to our weekly Prowl get together, so we had not really talked about it much. What was your take on the United States Europe Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black, New York this last, when was that? In September, I guess.
Yes. I was very into the Ryder Cup. I hated the fact that the United States lost. It bums me out whenever they lose, because I think they're a talented group of guys. But I think they gave an honorable fight at the end. I just think that they dug themselves into too deep of a hole to come back completely. And kudos to the Europeans, man. They played all right. But we got them next time. I'm not worried.
Let me ask you, do you think that he should have played or should not have played for Keegan Bradley?
Okay, I forgot. I can't remember the ins and outs of the controversy, but I remember there was a controversy. One guy like was unable to play, right?
No. So
And
that was on Sunday. That was on Sunday due to an injury for the European squad. There was an injury had, and so the ruling of the envelope, the hidden envelope, had to be put into play, and that is that because one European player was unfortunately not able to play, and that was Victor Hovland, by the way. I think it was like a neck injury or something like that. But because he was not able to play in the final 18-hole singles matches that they had going on Sunday, they had to go to the envelope and pull out, okay, who did the United States choose to sit out if somebody has to? And so, yes, that did happen for that particular round. I'm more talking for Captain Keegan Bradley. He had the option of potentially selecting himself and being a playing captain as opposed to just a captain. And I know for me, going into it after the type of season that he had, and I don't have all those stats immediately in front of me, but I believe that he won a tournament, if not a couple, and was close in a couple others. And he actually has already won here in the fall circuit of their season that just started back up. So for me, I felt like Keegan Bradley, while he has a lot of jitters, and as a fan watching, I can't almost stand watching him play because it takes forever for him to set up and actually take a swing. But I still felt like he should have played, and he did not. So I was just curious if you had a take or a feeling on that.
yeah, no, I think he made the right decision to not play. I think that while he may have had a good season, I think he was aware that he was not in the same realm of the dudes who actually played, even though there were some questionable choices on the team to begin with. I think he did the right thing to sit out and be a guy that could motivate the guys from the sidelines. I totally respect that. I like the fact that he did not play. If it was somebody like Tiger in the 2000s or whatever, or like 2010s, who was still playing well, okay, he can play. That's fine. I think there are certain people who can, certain people who shouldn't. I think he can make the right decision. Now, when I was talking about the Victor Hovland thing, he was unable to play on the last round. I believe because he didn't play, they still got like a half a point because he didn't play. And I believe that was the controversy. That should not have happened. If you cannot play, you should not be awarded points. That pissed me off because that may have been the deciding factor.
I 100%, I do 100% agree with that. Now, one of the jobs that Keegan does have that, it does fall squarely on him, whether he's playing or not playing, a big part of his job is to work with the folks running the Ryder Cup to set up the course. Because we were the host country in this case and it was played on our soil, we get the luxury of making some of those decisions. One of them, if you remember in the tournament, was moving like the tee box to a certain part. I believe it was on the first hole, actually, that Bryson and some of the big hitters could bomb it down there and get it real close to the green. So that was part of that setup decision. Another part of the setup decision was, in this case, they had Beth Page, which has always been known for very thick, full, tall, rough. They decided we want to cut that down. And I guess because we have big bombing hitters, like I mentioned Bryson before, if they get leeward or wayward off of their drive, then we won't have to face that penalty as much. So that could be debated a lot. But a story came out this week, and the reason why I'm jumping back all into this, because I found it curious and unfortunate if it played out this way, was that according to Justin Thomas, an American Ryder Cup player who was on this team, according to him, the grounds crew or keepers of Beth Page, who are supposed to be allegedly working with Keegan to set this course up, supposedly Keegan asked them to set these greens at a certain rating on the stimp meter, a certain level. And they did not do that. Instead, they kept the greens much slower than what they were claiming them to be. And for that reason, Justin Thomas felt like both the earlier days of this tournament, they really struggled.
I did not know that was a thing that could happen. I'm kind of surprised at that. I think it should be at the discretion of the groundskeepers to do whatever they think is the best playing, the best way to play the course. And I mean, I can't really be mad at them on that. I mean, you had opportunities to win. You had the exact same course that they had, and they beat you. I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you played the exact same course as the Europeans did, and you had time to prepare, and you found yourself in a hole. I mean, I don't feel bad for them personally. I mean, it stinks if they were led to believe one thing and something else happened, but at the same time, you still got to go out and play with these guys, and they beat you. End of story.
That is where I land as well. I feel like if you're playing the same course, ultimately adapt and overcome is what it comes down to. And if the European team was able to do that, which they were draining putts right and left, I'll tell you that. Anytime they really had to have an answer, they had it, it seemed like. Then I think that's, like you said, I think that's the only fair way to view it. Now, where I wanted to mention another little part of my past was that I have had experience in grounds or lawn keeping and maintenance because I owned a business that did that throughout the triad. And one of the most truest of true things out of this remains to be true. And that is that contractors, guys that are out there pushing the mowers, doing the nitty gritty, They don't want to see Mr. Hey, I'm wearing my khakis and swinging a golf club show up and start critiquing the way that they're out there doing that blue collar work. I will tell you that right now. And that's coming from a dude that did not that has done both the blue collar side of it, but also the side of having it done for myself and being out there working with a crew that is doing it, and I'm just managing them. So I thought that was very, very timely and interesting to know that even at the highest of levels like this, they're like, dude, we're the ones out here cutting the grass. If we say it's this, that's what it is. And you need to go on back to whatever you're doing and focus on what it is that you need to be doing.
Well, exactly. You know, Justin Thomas coming out and accusing these guys of whether it is or isn't true. Like, how is that going to make future American groundskeepers feel when the Ryder Cup comes back to the United States? Like, are they going to be like, oh, well, they don't trust us to do our job or whatever? I mean, that's just, I don't know, man. Like you said, you play to win, and you had the exact same opportunities that they did. You fell up short. You came up short. You can't blame anybody for that. That's ridiculous, man.
My last weekly prowl question for you is, do you prefer as a player faster or slower greens?
So over the Thanksgiving break, I actually played in a golf tournament. I played Friday and Saturday and actually won, weirdly enough. And I kind of tend to sway towards a slower green. I think that if it's fast and it's got to be. I don't know. It's got to be right in the middle because fast, like the greens we played in on Saturday, were super fast. Plus, it was cold, so like you dropped the ball on the green, it felt like you dropped it on plywood. But then, like the day before, it was a little too slow. There's a happy medium there, and I'm not 100% sure what that is. What about you?
I'm a fast greens guy. I think that I would prefer to have a lot harder time getting things to stop than really having to swing out of my cleats to get this thing to feel like it's moving. And you always know, like if I leave it short, then you're going to hear the side commentary from whoever you're playing with, like get it there, Sally,
Hit
or
it, Nancy.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly. So that that's coming on a slow green and that kind of stuff. I'd just rather focus on having a really solid read, and if I have to baby it to get it down there, then that is what it is. So fast greens have never really bothered me, but please let's rewind for a second. Was this a singles tournament, or are you in captain's choice, like a team event, or what are you working with?
It was kind of both. So it was a modified shamble with Stableford point system. So you were on a team of 3 to 4 people. Yeah, no, it's kind of specific, but it's a lot of fun. So you're on a team of 3 or 4 people. Take the best drive, you play your ball past there, and then Stableford points for those who maybe not know. Eagles 5 points. So when an eagle is 5 points.
Stableford is like old school, man.
It is. Eagles 5 points, birdies 3 points, pars 2 points, bogeys 1 point. Anything below a double bogey is 0 points. So you're designated a point total based on your talent level, and based on like I had to get 15 points. So for the whole weekend I had 35, so I was 5 under by the end of the weekend technically. So I won. So it was kind of single. You had to play your own ball for the most part, and you had to worry about your points, but you also got a little help off the tee, which I definitely need because I suck with a tee ball.
I love that. I'll be sure to look for my invite next Thanksgiving time.
I got you. Yeah. Next time when we play, we could try that out, and we'll see how you fare, man.
Well, I appreciate you, BB, joining Weekly Prowl. Again, we'll have these going forward once a week. Proudsports.com is where you can find both of us. And in the meantime, be sure to check out BB's hot dog reviews for the big foodies, as well as whatever else we get into over the next little bit of time until we meet again.
Yes, sir. Be good.
All right. Thanks, man. BB, I'll catch you Thursday at 12:30, I think is what we said.
Yes. By the way, man, I noticed that was there a delay with my mic whenever we started?
So What we need to look into is why you, and I thought about just stopping, but we were just rolling, and
There was a point. Yeah.
What I will do with this one is I'll go back and just use audio only on this one. And that way I can cut down like any of the awkward pauses and all that kind of stuff. And so it'll be an audio version. But last week, and I don't know if I am or not, like I can't tell, like, am I delayed?
No, you're not delayed for me, but I could definitely tell that I'm delayed for you.
No, yeah, it's delayed both ways. Cause when I ask that question right there and I just sit and I wait, and then you're kind of like answering a little bit. But last week that wasn't the case, so I don't know what changed unless it's your signal. Like, are you hooked up to a router?
No. I'm just on Wi-Fi, but I was on Wi-Fi. I was in the office last week and I was on Wi-Fi, but I was using my AirPods. Maybe that's different, and this new external mic may be different. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's the mic. I think it's really like the camera view. Like, so like on my screen, and I know this is really technical here, and I'm not really too worried or focused about it. Obviously you can see, I've got help here. She's laughing. I noticed that on my end, there's a clearer picture. On your end, on my, like, if I'm looking, you're more pixelated. Now I don't know what I look like for you, and if you do, you look pixelated for you?
No, I don't look pixelated for me, and you look fine for me.
Strange. I don't know. I can just see, and it might be because we're also we were doing this live. So, if I don't do it live, that might make connectivity better as well. Live? Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, correct. But that's not a big deal. Like I said, I'll cut all this kind of funky stuff out. And anybody that's been hanging out with us, hello, thank you for enjoying the tech parts of the discussion here. This is the beauty that makes things go around. But I don't know why it is, but I could tell that throughout this there was a slight delay, and this time more pixelated, but that wasn't the case last week, and it hasn't been before, so I don't really know.
Okay, well, maybe I'll try my laptop next week, see what happens, and maybe try that, and maybe we could try a few different things over the next couple of weeks to figure out what works good, because clearly we didn't have any problems last week, so we may just have to go back to doing that.
Well, when we have our meeting on Thursday, I plan to use this same thing because it's easier. Zoom, you have to pay. I pay for this. That's why. I pay for this. Okay. And so it doesn't cut off timing. There's no, all that kind of stuff. So I would say that we'll see how it goes with that.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll join this meeting on my laptop and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Join separately. That way, each of us will have our own connection. We'll just see how it works. It'll be a good opportunity to test that part out. That's what I say. And I do know, like, on my end, this is the cool stuff that we can, get into the nitty gritty about. But with StreamYard, it does say, like, for better, it gives its recommendations, right? So for like better, whatever, plug in like to a hard line. Who hooks up to those nowadays? Like, I don't have a hard line. I'm working off of a Wi-Fi router here. So
yeah. I know what you mean. I don't. Yeah, but yeah, we can do some trial and error. Figure out.
We'll play with it. But best. Audio version, it'll be a-okay. And I'll link up with you boys on Thursday. We'll go from there.
Sounds good, Steven. Man, we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yep. See you, buddy.
Later.